People ask me all the time, what's the biggest mistake new investors can make? In my opinion, guaranteeing debt. I don't care what cycle you're in, what the rates are, who's president, who's sleeping with who, none of that matters. Because I know that people always want to sell and other people always want to buy.
If you're brand new, what do you invest in?
The easiest and the quickest way to make money in single family houses is to wholesale a house. You don't need money to buy real estate. You got to get it from your head to your heart on that one. Real estate is the asset that generates cash, not the asset that sucks up cash. When I buy for cash, I sell for cash. It does not take your money.
If Donald Trump wins the election and is the president, how do you change your real estate investing strategy to prepare for Donald Trump as the president? Ron LeGrand, it is great to get some time in person with you. I appreciate you carving it out.
My pleasure.
So for those that don't know your name, I'm not sure how, but it means that they have not been exposed to real estate investing at all in the last 30 years or longer. I grew up with your teachings in real estate investment as like a foundation of how to learn real estate in general. And I think a lot of people know you from that. I want to talk about kind of your path through that. But I also, before we get going, have to say that your commitment to continuing to learn things is inspiring. So you show up at these events and you don't just show up to be present and do deals and talk to people you know, but to learn the new things that are happening and to continue to grow. Was that desire to learn in the first place something that was embedded in you at a young age, or did you learn to do personal development as you got going?
Oh, I learned to do personal development really after I got started in real estate, which was 1982. And I don't want to stop learning. Somebody told me when you stop learning, you start dying.
Yeah.
And I am pretty much retired. I just teach now. I've got a company that runs itself. I'm at home a lot now. I just go out to events like this and to trainings that we do about 12 times a year. I still train.
So you started in real estate in 1982, and just when you walked in the door, you said you didn't get into it until you were 35.
That's correct.
What were you doing? So that's, first of all, very unusual in today's world to not dive into real estate investing until a later age and not get into the real estate educational empire until you were at 35 plus. When I say later age, I mean just into your business path.
Well, at 35, I started real estate. I didn't really start training till 1987, which was 5 years into the business. Bought a lot of houses in that first 5 years. Starting from having to borrow $250 to go to a seminar. Then I had to get 2 people to loan me that. That's what I was hanging around with. Of course, that was 1982. Now, that was quite a while ago. So we didn't have the training then we have now. We didn't have the automation. We didn't have the technology. I mean, I could tell you all kinds of stories about having a big old MLS book. That's the one place we could find ugly houses at, you could go online. There wasn't any online when I started. So my first check was $3,000, the most important check of my life, because I was broken, working I was running a service station. I mean, I was in charge. That's why I only worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, could barely make a living. Literally had to go to the grocery store twice a week, couldn't afford to go just once a week. Of course, back then you could get a bag of groceries for $10.
Sure.
And my first deal was a wholesale deal.
Okay.
And I've never stopped wholesaling. I admonish folks that do nothing but wholesaling that they're, giving up their fortune for a few dollars now that they have to pay the government up to half of. But I still do it because we need cash. We need cash quickly. I still teach it. I got a full-time partner and acquisitionist that does all the work. I've done none of the work. Some of the houses I don't even see because we do mostly assignment of contracts when we're in wholesale. But my specialty is a terms business where we buy nice houses in a nice neighborhood. But I'll give you an example. We got one this week. House worth $500,000, excellent condition. A couple has already bought a house in Vegas and they got to move pretty soon. They agreed on $440,000, nothing down. I'll take over their payment, and I conceded to a 5-year balloon. How many people out there, Brad, do you think you can buy a $500,000 house with nothing down? And I don't start making my payment till the third month after they're out of the house. So we just got that contract just before I left here. Close it next week.
So let me break that. Let me break that down. So one of the things that this is a recurring trend when I talk to real estate investors, because there are so many different ways to get into real estate.
Yeah.
There's so much language, and investors move quickly, right? And we know what things mean in general. But the general concept there is, that the value of the house is $500,000. They're willing to part with it at 440. You have a contract that says, hey, we're going to assign it to you, so you have all control over this real estate. And the $500,000 is not due until 5 years from now. That's the 5-year balloon. Is that accurate?
I'll be making their payment on the 440. I'm making their payment to the bank. I'm not paying them anything.
Yep.
And you're right. They get paid off when I get paid off. And 5 years is short for me. I normally get much more than that. But, I take what I could get. She was pretty adamant about that. And just think how many people out there are looking to buy a home to live in. This would have been a perfect home for somebody to buy. I mean, literally just walk in it, pay some closing costs, and you own the home, and you don't have any liability. There's nothing on your credit report. There's no banks to go to. There's no applications to fill out. If your credit is minus 500, you can still get in this house, which America doesn't know that. I like teaching people how to buy a home of their own without the traditional, conventional wisdom ways. And I got thousands of students all over the country. I've been teaching for I don't know how many years, for 35 years now. And frankly, the techniques haven't changed much. Technology certainly has. But I was doing the same thing in 1985 and 86, and I'm doing today, just maybe a little different way.
Yeah, well, the pace of innovation now is jarring.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned $500,000 discounted about 10%. So the person trying to sell it is willing to sell it for 10% less than it's worth, and assign it to you, so that all you have to do is pay the payment.
Not assigning it, I'm buying it.
You're buying it.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it with a wraparound mortgage.
Okay.
I'll own the property.
Okay.
And hey, I ain't worried about the 5-year balloon because I'm going to get them to extend it when it gets near to the end of that. That's the beauty of dealing with sellers, not have institutions telling you what you can do and what you can't do. So, I don't have to apply for a loan with anybody. And I think people ask me all the time, what's the biggest mistake new investors can make? In my opinion, guaranteeing debt. Guaranteeing debt means you risk your credit, you risk your assets, and you risk your marriage. For what? To buy a house. Trust me, you can buy all the houses you want without going down to the bank and applying for a loan. Your credit is totally irrelevant and very little money. I'm paying about $3,000 in closing costs to get that $500,000 house, but we haven't discussed what I'm going to do with it when I get it. I'm closing it next week. I'm going to put a tenant buyer in the house, raise the price to about $529,900, get a minimum of $50,000 non-refundable option deposit because I won't take any less on this big old nice house. That's about 10%. Put them in there and they'll pay more than I'm paying. I'm paying $2,800 a month, about a $3,500 a month rent lease option. And they do all the work. When I put a tenant buyer in a house, they're responsible for all of the repairs after the first 30 days. And this house is relatively new, sitting on a nice lake, golf course nearby, and there's no association dues. So it's a perfect, what I call it's a perfect golden goose. This keeps on laying golden eggs every month. And every month that goes by, the house is worth more and we owe less on it. We get all these benefits with the terms business that big wholesalers don't get their head around till late in the game, like we were just talking about a while ago.
So there are two elements there that I want clarity on. The first is you mentioned a wraparound mortgage.
Yeah.
So can you tell me how the mechanics of that work?
I was afraid you was going to ask that. That's a hard one to get people to understand that don't know what it is.
Yeah.
All right. They have an underlying loan of $335.
Mm-hmm.
We agreed on $440. So my attorney's going to prepare the paperwork on a wraparound mortgage because the $440 wraps around the $335. I owe $440. She owes $335. Mm-hmm. I'll be making her payment directly to the bank, and that's something else that I didn't mention to you. I'm making the same payment on the $440 that she's making on the $335.
Because of the interest rate on it?
That extra $100,000, I'm not paying any interest on it at all whatsoever. And that's just from language that I created over the years, put it right in the contract. And I mean, obviously, they don't need the money now. They told me they didn't need money now. That's music to my ears because if they need money now, we're not doing a terms deal.
Right.
So anyway, I do cash deals as well.
But that terms deal. So what I heard, I think, is that they have an existing mortgage for $335,000.
Yes.
You agreed to buy it at $440,000,
Yes.
and you did a wraparound mortgage that says basically we will be responsible for paying for your mortgage note to the bank on your existing mortgage, and then the extra $100,000, you're only going to get that when I actually sell the property later in 5 years.
They will get that $100,000.
Right.
I'll get anything above the 440.
Yes.
Of course.
And then in the meantime, you take over the payment. And what your plan is for this is taking over the payment and putting, you mentioned a tenant buyer in place to pay it for you. And that's the second term I wanted clarity on, is tenant buyer. So what is a tenant buyer?
Tenant, it's a person that leases with the option to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're always going to be buying for a higher price than I'm buying.
Right.
I'm selling it for $529. It really is only going to appraise for about $500.
Oh, interesting.
I always sell them for more than what they'll appraise for. Have been for 30 years.
And how does that work?
I raise the price, and when a buyer comes along and wants to pay it, I sell it to them. And in this case, I'm lease optioning it to them. It could be 2-3 years before they buy, if they ever buy. Truthfully, most of them never buy.
There we go.
And if they walk away, they're going to forfeit their deposit. And if they quit paying rent, they're going to forfeit their deposit. And they're doing all the repairs. So tenant buyers is a totally different animal than tenants.
Yeah.
There's no comparison, really. They got a dog in the hunt, skin in the game.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come in and give me $50,000 unless they intend to buy. But they intend to buy. I intend to do a lot of things that don't ever get done. Things happen, they get divorced or sick or have to move out of town or income loss or whatever. Most of them just don't buy. And that's okay with me. I'm going to keep making money. That golden goose is going to keep laying golden eggs for years and years and years. So the longer I have it, the better. And if they buy, they buy. If I go get another one. If they don't buy, they'll go out and I'll put somebody else in. And that's how the game works.
We started with wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me how you got into this in the first place. Because at that point in time, in 1982, the education market was totally different. But you mentioned that you borrowed $250 to go to your first seminar. Who'd you go see?
Well, I was running service station. And
service station meaning cars?
Yeah, back then we actually had to go out and pump the gas and do windows and all that stuff.
Yep.
I probably washed 1 million windows. I came home one day from work, dirty and greasy and smelling nasty. Anyway, my wife, Beverly, we just celebrated our 59th wedding anniversary.
Whoa, congrats.
She said, listen, I need a new washing machine. This one just ain't working. And I said, we can't afford a new washing machine. I'll get it fixed again. She said, we got arguing and went to bed mad. And I laid there that whole night. I'm never going to forget that night, Brad. I lay there that whole night. I couldn't sleep. I was thinking to myself, what a loser you are. You can't even buy your wife a new washing machine to wash your filthy clothes with. I made up my mind that night that I don't know what I'm going to do, but it ain't going to be do this for the rest of my life. And a couple of weeks later, I saw an ad, come learn how to buy real estate with no money down, which I knew was a scam for sure. Nobody can buy real estate with no money down. I went to that first 2-hour presentation in a hotel. Carlton Sheets was the presenter that night. Okay. And then I borrowed the money to get into a seminar the next weekend. And that was a 2-day event, which totally changed my life. I had no idea that when I went to that seminar that first night, I was in for a life-changing experience that would also change thousands and thousands of other lives as well. Sometimes you just never know when that turning point is going to come. So I went out of there, and first 3 weeks I did a wholesale deal and made $3,000. Today that's nothing. Back then that was a lot of money for me. I mean, we could hardly barely buy groceries. We had to stack up our bills and figure out who's going to rotate to the top, this month. So I kept on going. I imagine most of the people in that seminar just went out and went back to life normal, but I didn't, man. I got the fire in my belly after that first one. And I kept doing and doing and doing. I've done well over 3,000 houses since then. I don't even know. I quit counting a long time ago. Still do them to this very day. Not at the rate I was doing them. Right today, we probably do 30 houses a year, give or take. But we blend all of it. I try to make people a transaction engineer. I don't want them just to go through life wholesaling houses, and giving up all the wealth to get some money in your hands. Again, there's Uncle Sam taking it away from you. And we just finished 3 rehabs. 2 of them are sold. One of them's still on the market. If I rehab them, I list them with a realtor and let them sell them. And terms deals I'm always looking for because my favorite are the terms deals. And the cash is good because I got an acquisitionist partner. I mean, when I sell a house, it's usually more for him than me, so he can get paid well. And like we just 5 wholesale deals. The last 5 we did, we netted $147,000 on. We were in and out of each one of them in less than a month. My total investment, Brad, it's true, was $50 to cover all 5.
Wow.
That was a $10 deposit on each house. That's because we flipped the contract.
Right.
Got it under contract, had the title check, and put it out there to our list of potential buyers, and going like that, as long as you don't try to charge too much. So, I think about that, 147 grand in less than a month. I think about all the folks out there working their butt off 5-6 days a week, just don't know things like that exist. So it's our job to get the message out. And that's what I've been doing for a long, long time now. That's all I do. The company runs without me.
One of the things that I like to dig into, and people tend to have different perspectives on this, but is the difference between education and the actual activity. So you have done a tremendous amount of real estate investment, but you also have built a sizable education institution that teaches people how to invest in real estate.
Yes.
How much of your time over the years has been split between actually investing versus teaching people?
There's never been a year I didn't invest. I've been through 6 cycles. One thing I learned, I don't care what cycle you're in, what the rates are, who's president, who's sleeping with who, none of that matters. Because I know that people always want to sell and other people always want to buy. And look at the economy we're in right now. People are buying, not as rapidly as they were 2 years ago, but they're still buying. So we've got a business called real estate. It's not like any other commodity that I know of. People have to have a place to live. So I don't ever see that stopping. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. I tell my folks, just take care of your house and you don't need to worry about what's going on in the White House. In other words, get your cash flow coming into several times more than you need to live on, and that ain't hard to do in real estate. That can be done very, very quickly, as you well know. I mean, we're here, we got a room full of people down there in a mastermind group. Some of them do 500 deals a year. That's definitely real estate business, more than real estate investing.
There are a million asset classes in real estate. There are a bunch of different ways you can invest in real estate. There's tons of creative ways to do it.
Okay.
I want to think about the brand new investor and also sort of the educated entrepreneur who has money that wants to get into real estate.
Got it.
And how they're different. If you're brand new, what do you invest in?
Well, if you're brand new, you don't invest in anything until you get some education. I mean, education from who's qualified to teach you, not somebody that's done 6 houses and wants to be a guru, We got a whole world full of them right now. So that's the truth. And I don't care what business you're going in. I've had 6 restaurants. Some people might think you can go in there and eat in a restaurant and figure out what's going on there. Not true. You got to get behind the scenes where the good, the bad, and the ugly is. Same with real estate. There's only 2 ways you're going to learn, the easy way or the hard way. Easy way is to follow somebody else that's already been there and done that and get all the education you can. Hard way is trying to do it on your own and try to save money. I fight that all the time. People are trying to save money on their education. They want to go on the internet and get a free education, which ain't going to happen. So I'll make a disclosure to you right now. If you're watching, there ain't no such thing as a free education. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. I paid for mine with a whole lot of mistakes, stupid mistakes. Looking back, it's almost funny, but it ain't funny, okay? The longer we're in the business, I still make mistakes this very day. Of course, they're not earth-shattering, life-shattering mistakes. Today, they're small mistakes, but get the education first. There's all kinds of ways to do that. There's all kinds of books. I started reading books, by the way, in my spare time, which has got me to that real estate seminar, and it got me excited. My book is called How to Be a Real Estate Entrepreneur in Any Economy, and I even got a website if I can remember, ronlegrand.com. I don't know, that's my main website, but Ron's free book, ronsfreebook.com. I'll give you that book if you want it. It's a seminar and a book. That's the first one I wrote. I wrote about 10 so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you have a reputation for that.
How many people you see getting in and out of the restaurant business nowadays? I mean, they're dropping like flies. Okay, there's only a couple of mistakes that they could have made. Number one, they probably didn't start with enough money. I've been in the restaurant business. You better start with plenty of money. Okay. Or they never learn anything about how to get business. And that's what I see entrepreneurs all the time going into bed. I have no idea how to get a customer. And if they, open it and they will come. And if you think about that, I try to educate some of them sometimes on a little bit of marketing. Man, it's like talking to a brick wall. They don't even want to hear it. I ain't going to do all that stuff. No, that's true, but what if they don't come? I mean, in our world, you and I both know, we're not going to take for granted getting customers. We're going to make sure they come.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. I've never met a restaurant owner that knows. One. And then, of course, deliver good product and deliver good service and all of that. But the truth is, most people who open restaurants are starting them on a little old skinny budget. And they're sucking up their lives, their mom and pop organizations, and they think they got to work there to make it work. And nobody could replace them. And it took me a lot of years to learn that just ain't true. And I'll tell you right now, there's not one thing you can do in your business that you can't delegate to somebody else. I've done it. I'm a living and breathing example of it. I don't have to go to work in the morning. I teach because I still want to teach. I don't want it anymore. I won't be doing it. But getting yourself out of your own way is going to take a little time, and you got to be working toward that goal all the time, or you're never going to turn loose. I understand what it was like. I was a control freak. When I started getting out of the way and let other people do it, I kind of got to liking it. Nowadays, I ain't doing any of that stuff. I don't want to do any of it. I delegate everything. I got 3 people down there in this mastermind group with me. They've all been delegated everything I took notes on so far. So I'm a master delegator in anything that I do.
How long did it take you to get to the point where you realized that delegation was the path and not execution on your own?
Man, it's got to be 20 years. I'm a man. The last thing a man's going to do is follow instructions, right? And if it's working perfectly, it's got to be fixed. I was no different.
I like to say that I'm very good at learning from my own mistakes after I've made them a bunch of times.
Yeah, I only need to make them 4 or 5 times before I get it too.
Yep. So, okay. Brand new investor. Is there an asset class you think people should invest in?
The easiest and the quickest way to make money in single family houses is a wholesale house.
But you made a point with wholesaling also. You said at some point, I want them to actually get the value out of the real estate. And
yeah, but not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
Nah, what they want first is money.
Mm-hmm.
And me too, all right? And then when you get to the point to where you got things going on where you don't have to suck up all the money to live on, you better start thinking about tomorrow. Wholesaling is, I don't know how you can make anything any easier that can make you that kind of money. Look, we find a junker, tons of ways to do that. We put it under contract, put the word out, we got it, and here comes the buyer. So we sold 5 pieces of paper for $147,000. That's what it amounts to.
Yeah.
Today, everything is done virtually today. You don't even go to closing. They send you the stuff to sign. And when I'm wholesaling a house, there's nothing for me to sign. Yeah. I'm selling it. Well, I do. We do have to sign the closing statement. No, we don't. When we sign a contract, we don't even have to sign a closing statement. We're just on there as a consulting fee or whatever the closer wants to call it.
I was talking to somebody the other day about wholesaling and actually some other types of real estate too. And their critique was, you're not actually investing in real estate.
No.
You're just a salesperson doing a transaction.
Yeah.
And the difference being like a buy and hold or many other types of real estate where your investment is the real estate. If you have more money, where's the benchmark where you think you should start to actually invest in real estate versus flip a house or wholesale?
All right. First of all, you don't need money to buy real estate. You got to get it from your head to your heart on that one. And I'm not kidding. You don't need money. Real estate is the asset that generates cash, not the asset that sucks up cash. I don't bury money in real estate. When I buy for cash, I sell for cash, which either means I'm wholesaling it or I'm rehabbing it and retailing it. And I don't want to do a rehab and retail for less than 50 grand net. I don't do a wholesale for less than 20 grand net. So the property is generating the cash. Doesn't mean I have to even buy it, like I just said. So the first thing one's got to learn is how to get into real estate and get over the fact that it does not take your money. If I want to buy a junker and rehab it, I use a private lender. No personal liability. Well, I teach the ugly house business and the pretty house business. And the truth is, you're not going to do any advertising in any great degree where you're not going to get both of them coming at you. But the easiest thing to do is wholesaling a house. That's how I like to see people start. Get the check. Get in the game. Learn as you go. And when the terms business has come along, trouble is most investors just let them go on by because they're focused on getting that junker, I was too for quite a while. But today I'm way more interested in the terms business. Here. Why? We get big chunk of money up front, tenant buyer. We get good cash flow every month. We get depreciation, save us on taxes. We get appreciation. We get debt pay down. And then when that tenant buyer moves out, they forfeit their deposit. We put somebody else in there. Multiple streams of income for years and years and years into the future. One house just keeps paying you. So that's why I like it. But I'm not going to go out there and just look for the pretty houses because then I'll waste all the opportunity on the ugly ones. So we don't never know who's going to call us, whether it's pretty or whether it's ugly. And we can target each one, but I want people to understand the entire business so they can see where the real money is. And now when you factor all that in with your IRA and make money tax-free, it's amazing how fast you can grow wealthy.
We've got wholesaling, and then you're referring to it as terms, which is basically buying the property. Frequently, the lever there is the terms through which you're buying it.
Yeah.
Right? Are you investing in any other asset classes outside of single-family homes or in any other ways?
Well, term investing is a word I don't like, but sometimes I write checks to buy houses, pay cash. But that's only if I'm going to turn right around and get a great big check back quicker. All right. When we agreed to buy it for $60,000, house worth about $230 renovated, need about $60 in repairs. I did the math on it, and we flipped it, netted $52,000 on it in 19 days without touching it. And I did the math because I always decide whether I want to retail or wholesale it. If I'd have rehabbed and retailed that house, I wouldn't have made more than 70 to 75 on it, period. Because I know all of the costs in between that they don't teach you on television. Okay. And I said, well, what am I seeing? Take 52 now or 75 6 months from now? It wasn't a hard decision. Wasn't a hard decision. And that's what attracts people to wholesaling. I'm telling you, a 6th grade moron could wholesale a house. Gotta be careful though. As I tape this, I know of 3 states right now that require a license to sign a contract. There's no law against wholesaling houses. Just a few of them have a law against you doing it without signing a contract without a license. Nobody can stop you from buying a house, closing a house, and then selling it. But for some reason, the assignment of contract is getting a lot of heat out there right now.
What do you think that is?
Realtors. Right, realtors. Where do you think most of these laws come from?
I don't think very highly of realtors in general.
Well, I don't have anything against realtors. I use them when I'm selling it for cash.
There are definitely good realtors out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in general, as a community, the barrier to entry is so low and the payout for selling a house is disproportionately high. It's a percentage of the home.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Selling a $1 million house is not 10 times harder than selling a $100,000 house.
No, it is not.
And it should not be.
Also true for in the terms business.
I like it.
I won't take less than 5% down and usually I can get up to 10. The truth is, the cheaper the house, the harder it is to get the 10% down. More expensive it is, the easier it is to get the 10% down. That's why the house I was telling you about earlier, that $500,000 house, I'd rather have it vacant than take less than $50,000 non-refundable option deposit from tenant buyers. I'd leave it vacant. I'd make the payment first because that's my first payday. Now think about that. I get $50,000 off of that house. Look what I got to do to get 50 when I buy one and rehab it and paid 6 months later. And you never know if the value's going down and all the costly entanglements in the middle. It's not that, I don't rehab very many houses a year because I like get a choice to make money easy, make money hard. I'll take the easy.
Is there you mentioned that if you're going to buy a house cash, the expectation is you're going to turn it around quickly. Do you buy and hold at all?
If I buy it for cash, I sell it for cash. If I
Mhm.
buy it on terms, I lease option it out. Now, I didn't finish a while ago that $60,000 house I was telling you. What if my IRA wrote that check for 60 grand
Mhm.
and we flipped it for 112 grand a month later?
Mhm.
All that profit goes in my IRA tax free. Guys better learn how to leverage real estate with your tax free entities. Now, your Roth IRA is one of those. Like 3 ways to sell houses and not pay taxes on them legally.
The IRA being one of them.
Yeah, think about wonder what that rate of return was. Put up 60, get back 112 in 30 days. I don't know how to figure that.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Whatever
Well,
it is.
and for clarity, for anybody that doesn't know, you can take. Everybody should have a Roth IRA, but you can take your existing IRA and move it into a self-directed Roth IRA.
All got to be self-directed.
All has to be self-directed, and you can find a custodian, a company that will host that self-directed. I think host is the term they use. Self-directed IRA for you, and then it gives you the control of the bank account where the funds sit to invest in certain things, and real estate being one of them.
Only if you know the rules, though. Be careful with your IRA. There are rules.
Yeah, don't listen to me. I can't give you tax advice.
We're not going to go down that road. I teach it. I got a whole course on that stuff.
Yes. Well, what are the other 2 ways that you can invest in real estate
One
without
of them
worrying
is
about
solo
tax?
401k for your LLC. Only husband and wife can be employed by that LLC. Thing about the solo 401k is you can borrow money from it. Can't do that from your IRA. You can hold a checkbook. You can't do that with your IRA as well, or you shouldn't. And biggest one is it doesn't trigger UBIT, unrelated business income tax. If you buy a house with debt in your IRA, or if you put a loan on it after you buy it in your IRA and you sell it, you're going to pay taxes on that sale, even though it's in your IRA. So to avoid that, well, there's 2 ways you avoid it. First way is you use a solo 401k because it does not trigger UBIT. Or you can lease option that house in your IRA rather than buying it. Lease option is not debt.
You said that you've been through 6 different real estate cycles.
Yeah.
What are the lessons that young entrepreneurs and investors should be aware of as cycles change?
Well, one of the first things is be careful to whom you listen because the whole world's full of crap. I got a T-shirt that says that. You got to be very careful to whom you listen. And frankly, that goes right on up to attorneys and CPAs and people with initials after their name. I mean, longer you're around, the more you realize how little some of these so-called professionals actually know. Therefore, you better learn this stuff and know what they don't learn, teach you when you're trying to work with them. 1982, when I started, we were in one of those ugly cycles. 1986, Reagan passed tried to take depreciation away from real estate, and that created a mess. Created the RTC, Resolution Trust Corporation. I was around then. And then we had another so-called recession in the 90s, and 2008 was the worst one that I've seen in my career. On the other hand, we don't know what's going to happen going ahead. I had 21 commercial developments going on in 9 different states simultaneously in September of 2008.
Wow.
Took that all the way, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property.
We've spent the last 20, 30 minutes talking about the ways to invest in real estate without putting your money at risk. It sounds like that's been informed by putting a lot of money at risk in 2008 for commercial developments.
Not only that, a lot of borrowed money that I personally guaranteed.
Well, one of my questions was going to be, what's the worst mistake you've ever made?
2008, I had all these projects going. A lot of it borrowed money, banks. I had a big financial statement. You see, I didn't start the darn recession, but I had to live through it. And the problem wasn't that money dried up overnight when Lehman Brothers went down all around the world. It also killed all of the industry. There was nobody to buy all the stuff I was developing. I had several subdivisions ready to go vertical on them, and nobody was buying houses for years after that. Builders were going out of business right and left. Realtors were giving up their licenses. And one thing I learned, even with all that going on, people are still going to buy houses.
Going into 2008, if you could have done it over again, what would you have done that would have produced a better outcome?
That's a very good question. Instead of building stuff to sell, I would build stuff to rent. I'd still have it today, and boy, it'd be lovely. Apartments, perhaps, maybe even self-storage. That's 2 of my favorite types of commercial real estate. Offices is not my favorite today. People are working from home, but apartments just never go away. I mean, people have to have a place to live. We got this big shortage of housing in this country right now. They're building apartments in Jacksonville, Florida, where I live, every direction you go, as fast as they can put them up, and houses as well. But that was happening prior to '08. But boy, when Lehman Brothers went down, it totally stopped. And I tried to save these projects by making payments on them until I ran out of money. And I had to call all the lenders and say, listen, we have a problem, because we do have a problem. Worked it out. Some of them took the properties back. A couple of them even foreclosed, but they didn't foreclose on me. They foreclosed on the LLC that owns the property. But I still had to guarantee that debt. Two or three of them actually came after me, and most of them went away because I was fortunate enough to know how to protect my assets back then, when I learned way back in 2000. And in other words, I didn't get wiped out. A sad story. Feel sorry for me? Get at least a little bit of sympathy, at least, for crying out loud.
I think that the most difficult things in life tend to yield the most fruit, and they are also the best stories later.
Yeah, but the older you get, if you stay in this game, the more you realize, I don't have to guarantee that debt. I don't have to do what people think you have to do. I could even got the money for those. I wouldn't be able to solve the end problem, because when the exit strategy dried up, no matter where the money come from, you have a problem, big problem. I mean, like $50 million worth of problems.
Yeah.
But it didn't take me out. I just kept going. Houses never let me down. I've done them every year. A lot of houses, some not so many houses. But I'm retired. I don't have to do any of that stuff. But I can't give up real estate, man. I like to dance with the one who brung me.
Well, when you say, if you were to do it differently, repositioning that so that you were looking for renters instead of buyers with the end product would be the way to solve that problem or approach it differently. In order to do that, would you have had to have structured the debt differently? What prevented you from being able to go to rentals when you got into the bad situation?
I was building stuff to sell. That's what I was doing most of my life. For example, I had 5 subdivisions horizontal. I never intended to build houses. I got them ready for horizontal. I had fractionals going on, beautiful fractional project in 2 different states.
When you say you were building them horizontal, does that mean that you were going to sell the lots to people to build on? Got it.
I had no desire to build houses.
Got it.
That's where all the risk is.
Apparently, that's not where all the risk is.
No. Yeah, but the point of that is I had no control over that. And I'm trying to tell our listeners here today, you have no control over what's going to happen in the future. You just need to learn to protect yourself now, so that when they come after you, you're still not going to get wiped out. And I try to teach that as well, and then I steer them to a law firm to take care of them.
Q4, basically Q4 of 2024, interest rates just dropped 0.5%. What advice do you have for real estate investors now in terms of where you think we're headed?
Brad, to be honest with you, anybody that can answer that question is just guessing. And I think that where we're headed is going to depend largely on who gets elected in November. Because I don't even want to go there, but I'm worried about what this country's going to be like if the Democrats take total control over it, like they're trying to do. So the thing is, though, I'm prepared to go either way. People they're never going to stop buying houses. And one thing I learned, the worse the economy gets, the better deals you get, and more of them you get. So in a way, a recession would be a good thing for us real estate investors. But it's not a good thing for the population in general. And again, there's not been a year I haven't bought houses.
So if you were to prepare for Kamala winning, what would you do to prepare for real estate investing in a world where Kamala Harris is president?
Keep on getting your cash flow up as fast as you possibly can, and keep working on that until you got so much cash flow you don't need to worry about money anymore. And you don't have to be a millionaire to live like a millionaire. You need cash flow. Money in the bank is good. Equity is kind of worthless until you turn it into money, but it's better to have it than not have it. So cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. And that's why I like these nice houses and nice subdivisions. I mean, some of them you can get easy $1,000 a month spread between your tenant buyer and what you're paying out. You don't take but a handful of houses like that, and your cash flow needs are taken care of. But buy, flip, buy, flip, buy, flip, 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 flip also helps you with your cash flow, but it sure don't help you with the income taxes. And I do it all, so I'm an advocate for all of it.
Could be the same answer, could be different. But if Donald Trump wins the election and is the president, how do you change your real estate investing strategy to prepare for Donald Trump as the president?
I don't change my real estate investing strategy because it's the same strategy whether in good times or bad times. It's just that the market is easier to get to and get them to make a decision, both buying and selling. Let's say the market goes down, which is already doing where I live. Okay, that's going to make it harder for sellers to sell, which is good for us. Mm-hmm. And it's already hard for buyers to buy, which is good for us because I put them in there on lease options. People that come to me don't have good credit. They can't qualify for a loan or they don't come to me. I can lease option it to them and give them plenty of time to fix whatever's broke, credit or debt ratio, whatever it is. And then, of course, they live there a while. Sometimes they just get tired of the house and they move. But I'm putting people in a position to qualify to buy a house that are not in that position when I meet them, which is 70% of the people who are looking to buy a house. I read an article just recently. I got that article. 32% of people who apply for a loan at the bank get turned down. Okay, I just made up the 70% because I know darn well there's at least another 32% that don't even apply because they know they're going to get turned down. I said, we got a whole world of people out there who love to buy a home. It's the American dream of home ownership. We're giving them that opportunity. If they take it, fine. Most of them don't. That's it. I don't do anything to make them get out, period. I don't even notify them if their option is up. They can stay there and pay rent as long as they want.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit. I opened this by applauding you on your commitment to continuing to learn the market, learn the space, et cetera. We are at an event full of all of the real estate educators that exist, and it's a fast-moving space. Many of them do tons of investment. Some of them have larger education businesses than investment businesses. What is your focus when you come to these? What are you trying to learn when you are so far, 6 cycles into real estate investing? You clearly know how to do it. You've been teaching for decades. What's the path forward?
Well, I've never come to one of these where I come alone. I got 4 staff members downstairs with me. I always do. And I delegate immediately anything that's going to get delegated. And I want them there to hear what I heard because I miss half of it. I come here to meet people. I come here to get new ideas. I come here to do joint ventures. We're doing a lot of joint ventures with that group downstairs. Still do this very day. And that's the reasons that I come. I don't have to come. It's actually kind of hard for me to sit in that chair all day. but I do it anyway because I come to my seminars. You go out and go to the bathroom for 10 minutes and God knows what you're going to miss. That might be the whole reason you came, Same here. So, I've been sitting down there all day in the last 2 days and absorbing like everyone. I got 8 pages of notes. And for me to take 8 pages of notes, there's some really good stuff going on downstairs.
Yeah. What's the best thing that you've learned so far?
I can't tell you. I got 8 pages of notes. I'd have to review them.
Fair enough. Well, Ron LeGrand, I appreciate you carving out time. If people want to find out more about you, where do you want to point them?
Oh, they can go to pretty much anywhere online. I'm all over. I'm about every social media site you can think of. I've got enough videos on YouTube to keep you busy till you retire. RonLeGrand.com is my main website. That's LeGrand. If you want to learn all about the terms business, go to RonLeGrand.com/terms, and there's about an hour and 15-minute step-by-step lesson right there. And I tell you, free book is ronsfreebook.com, and you'll get to know me pretty quickly. I'm all over the web.
Love it. Ron, thanks so much for carving out time.
My pleasure, man. Thank you.